Sometimes we hear people say,
"Don't mess with my TABOR rebate."
but there's a lot going on that affects how and how much you get refunded in Colorado. The TABOR surplus isn't a certainty each year. The complexities surrounding the who, what, and why of TABOR surplus are far from straightforward. It's the legislature that decides how it's refunded. How the TABOR surplus is calculated is complex and not so simple. The amount fluctuates annually. There was no TABOR surplus at all for a number of years in Colorado, and this year's TABOR surplus is quite a bit less than last year. The revenue sources of the general fund that make up the TABOR surplus are also complicated and change from year to year. While income taxes make up the majority of the surplus, corporate income taxes, sales and use taxes, and excise taxes also go into the surplus. Over the past 7 years, the percentage of each kind of tax has varied. The revenue streams grow and shrink and grow. And because it's not always consistent, it's impossible to think of the surplus like a bank. You get out what you put in. And how the TABOR surplus comes back to taxpayers shapeshifts as well. Property tax reimbursements, income tax rate cuts, tax credits, and equal payout amounts to all Coloradans have been used in the past. In fiscal year 2021 to 22, for example, the TABOR surplus was $2.7 billion, and $750 checks were sent to each individual taxpayer. In fiscal year 2022 to 23, the surplus was more, but there were no checks. Instead, each person gets $800 as a normal tax rebate when they file their taxes this year. Both were active choices by the legislature. They choose those options each year, and they can choose to do something else next year. The following pot of rebate dollars will be less next year than the last two, $1.9 billion total, and lawmakers will decide how to send that money to Coloradans. There is no magic formula. It's decided based on what makes the most sense at the time, according to policymakers.